Hey, hello, and welcome back, everybody. Dan John here from danjohnuniversity.com. It's day 14 of the 10,000 swing challenge, 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge. I guess I have to make sure I mention that. We'll have some questions from our friends up on the Instagram today. Originally, I was going to have some guests here. Mitch and Sarge were going to join, but because of COVID and because because of where they work and stuff, I didn't want to chance things yet. So I'm just going to keep in lockdown another day or so. And we're going to do 10,000 swings. Today we'll do 500. It's a 20 kilo bell because I'm 65. If you're a male, I suggest the 24. A female, 16 to 12, depending on what your skill set or whatever. And every day I just do up to 500 swings. I don't do the lifts in between. I don't do anything else because I do the 10,000 swing challenge to support some friends of mine who do it every January, and that's the only reason I do it. I know that some people from Strong First have commented my swing technique is sloppy and not very good, and it probably is. I still feel like I'm in the top 5% of strength coaches and authors about kettlebells. But just remember, when you're doing 500 swings for 20 straight days, it's going to be a radically different kind of swing than if you're doing a set of 10 explosively. These are much more paced and much easier. And to be honest with you, honestly, in the big scheme of things, do I really care about what some minor trainer thinks in an organization that honestly most of you have never heard of? And yet, obviously, since I'm commenting, it must bother me. We'll talk about that, and I'll lay down on the couch, and you can take notes, and we can talk about my inner child. All right, let's get going. Always be sure you record each and every one because you will forget. Oh boy. Thought we might have a question. Good morning, Dinesh. You know, I'm doing some other stuff while I'm doing this, as you know. I'm doing the 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge. I finished with the fat loss boost, Rusty Moore's, a couple of weeks of basically a couple pieces of chicken and lots and lots of vegetables. And of course, I have a weightlifting meet coming up. And because of all this, you would think my weight would go down, but it doesn't. When you train, exercise, and diet hard at the same time, you often don't get very good results, but we'll talk about that. And it's fascinating. Yeah, well, Dinesh asked, how do you get a client to invest in training for a year? Dinesh, I got bad news. You don't. You just don't. I've got some books here. It's funny, as you're talking, this is Dennis Wakey's classic, The Physiology of Strength. This is Nick Peterson's book, Bumpers. here are my notes for my next book. This is a little section here that I'm talking about. I don't know how this is working, but so I've got Bumpers by Peterson. I've got Waitley's Physiology of Winning. I got my own notes on things. I don't know how you get other people to do things. I've been coaching a long time. It's got to be a cost to benefit ratio there. Your question came at a time we were kind of stomping on the point I wanted to make a little bit, but it's okay. I don't know how you convince people. There are people pushing, they've got COVID and the doctor is trying to save their life, but they won't take the medicine from the doctor because what they read online doesn't agree with it. I watched just Joe Rogan guy the other day. This person fact checked him, so he looked it up. He looked up. Rogan has been saying this thing that's incorrect. So in real time, Rogan looked it up and said, "Oh my God, you're right." And he goes, "I hadn't read any of this before." And probably a million things you haven't read. I don't know how you convince people to do anything when. We'll talk more. I got an idea. Maybe I got an idea, but maybe. For most people, motivation is a power law. Generally, there has to be an event. And it's weird because the event might not be the death of a close friend because of ill health. That might not be enough. Hearing some little kid say that you're fat might help. That seems to be a horrible event that kicks some people off into making these massive life changes. So power law, those are those short little bursts that have huge effects. The other day, the volcano in Tonga, that event is going to have far-reaching effects. But most of the time, we just live in this little normal, and most people's normal isn't very high end. I look at body weight the same way I look at income and sales. I really do. It comes down to this, I want to buy this business, and the business owner tells me it brings in $120,000 a year. Okay, so you break that down, that's $10,000 a month. And to be honest, if it's $10,000 in profit, that's pretty good. But then you find out that this business is a Christmas tree business, okay? And so, $119,000 of this business person's income comes in 3 weeks, a year. $110,000 of this person's income comes in about 3 to 5 days. So even though when you average it out, the business is a $10,000 a month business, $120,000 a month, $120,000 a year, $10,000 a month business. In reality, it only happens for this short little window. And when I work with most people, uh, they they look at their health, their fitness, their longevity, their performance, how they look in these very tight little narrow windows. And you know, so like the Christmas tree salesman, when I work with most people, you know, they want to weigh, I don't know, whatever the weight is, it doesn't matter, the weight or the waistline, whatever the number is or the look is, they want to look that about. It's funny. It's like my daughter's wedding or this vacation I'm going on. We're looking at, okay, daughter's wedding, one day, maybe a couple days because of the pictures. Okay, so we'll go 3, and then we'll go to that vacation, which is 7. So out of the 365 days a year, 355 of them are like the Christmas tree salesman in June. It's not really happening. So the hardest thing to convince people, I think, to get people in the condition is to teach them that fitness, health, longevity it's flossing your teeth every morning, uh, you know, using mouthwash, flossing, brushing, scraping your tongue every morning, and do that at night too. And you do that every day. Every time you get in the car, you put your seatbelt on. Every time you know, wear a helmet when appropriate. Floss your teeth. You know, take good care of your nail beds. I got ill one time because of an infected nail, cardboard cut. That's the real secret to all of this, is the 365-day approach, not the 5 to 10-day approach. So that's the chasm we have to cross. More on that. So let's get some more swings in. Uh, so first off, I think it does help to think about this. I mean, most people have such short-term goals. Then the other thing is, there's this chasm where you want them to train 7 days a week, diet, 14 days a week, sleep, and do all these things that I just think is normal. But for them, it's habit, ritual, and life change. And they have to go through, they have to change their rituals. They have to change the rituals to incorporate all these new things you're asking them to do. Best thing you can do for somebody is give them good habits. By God, it helps. I can remember my brothers coming home from the Army. Of course, this was during the draft. So, and by the way, draftees fight really, really well because they don't want to be there. So they fight. When you read some of the stuff about the Vietnam War, the draftee groups, they were great fighters. The United States would draft my brother, send him off to basic training, advanced training, Vietnam. They'd come home, beat up, disabled, and then the military would cut him loose and then say that the deafness came from, being a track athlete and all those, starting guns going off. But what I noticed is my brothers would have when they first got out of the service, their habits were just amazing. And yet they would just, over days, weeks, months, they would just, I wouldn't say regress, they would just slide back to what, normal house living. Um, because the habits the military gave them were probably really good. They make a great bed, and they shine boots. But you know, what was interesting, my brothers, when we come back, their habits of being athletes would be the same, if not maybe even better. I mean, I don't want to judge it, but so even something like a 2-year or 3-year military gig changes everything about you completely from top to bottom. But even those habits don't really stick. The habits of being an academic, I can see them sliding off of me already. I'm, I'm starting to fold corners over on books and stuff. I never used to do that. Is there something wrong with the device? There's no audio. Can anyone else hear me? Yeah. Well, can you guys hear me? Sorry. Can you guys hear me? Check that 150. 150. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. So, sorry about that. One person's phone is wrong. People all over the world have to fix it. Not to make fun of you, I am Muhammad, but that in a sense ties into the issue we're talking about, it getting clients to buy in, which I think is very difficult. So there's 20 people on this call right now. One person has an issue. I try to fix it. I address it. We had 8 responses. I can hear you fine, and had it turn out to be your phone. And I think I don't know how to. There's somehow an elegant insight there. I just don't have it right now because I'm swinging. But I mean, no matter what I do as a coach, as a fitness guy, as a dad, as a neighbor, you know, there's always an issue. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. There's always an issue. I give people really good plans. Usually, I mean, it's funny to what you need to do to have the best program I've used in the last few years is my own Easy Strength for Fat Loss. I went from 251 to 218 doing it, and I don't, except for intermittent fasting, which I don't even think is an issue, the weight just went off me. Whereas these last 2 weeks with all these swings and all this uh, fat loss boosting, which is a great program, my scale barely moved. Oh no, I'm not mad at you, Muhammad. I'm just saying it's a good point. Somebody asked books on. Do you mean Olympic snatch or kettlebell snatch? Be clear on that, okay? All right, let's get some more. This uh, variant or whatever I got is almost out of me now. But I've been warned by people who had it is that the small amount of stuff just lingers in the back of your throat for days. An easy way to get this junk to move, of course, is kettlebell swings. Boy, my grip just dropped. Did you answer? Olympic snatch, yeah. Well, if you can get it, I like Tommy Kono's book, Weightlifting Olympic Style. But if you just look up the name Tommy Kono, Kono, and then look for it's a strange thing, the tight tan pants. Tight, the color tan, T-A-N, pants. And it's called Deslo Band. And I found that site to be remarkable for storehouse for great information from great weightlifters. A bunch of old strength and health magazines. There are some resources on the internet, but the problem is, if you think kettlebellers are douchey, oh my God, can Olympic lifters be douchey? They argue about. It's funny. The weaker an Olympic lifter is, the more they talk about technique. Can't tell me how many times I've been told by people who can barely snatch 30 kilos that my lifting has issues, and I'm like, yeah, well, I snatched 142.5. I might know something, but there's that one strength coach a couple of months ago said that, the guy who just broke the world record, Tezletchev or something like that. He's the one who basically at the last meet, he snatched. I remember in 1970 when Vasily Alexiev clean and jerked 500. Well, this guy's basically snatching it now, and he's going to clean and jerk 600. I mean, if it even means anything to him. And then some online strength guy said that, well, his technique's not good enough. You can snatch 500 pounds. Yeah, your technique. So it's not so much your technique. So motivating others to work out. I mean, I don't know. I like the work of Tony Robbins on this. He does that whole pain pleasure thing. But even so, and I use the pain pleasure thing because I see it as a power law. I see the painful moment that your kid called you fat, or someone left you because you put weight on, or the doctor said you're going to die. And by the way, doctors telling you you're going to die doesn't help. There's that famous article years ago. What doctors really like to say, yeah, when I say the one doctor, when I say you need to lose 25 pounds, I mean you need to lose 50 pounds. Having a doctor telling you need to lose weight almost has no impact, from my experience with people. Having your kid call you fat, I know that's helped a few people, uh, but I don't know. There's this line in the sand that everybody seems to have to hit. That's why I call it a power law, because it's a small event with long consequences. I don't know, man. I don't know how you motivate other people. I've been coaching since '79, and that's the one thing I came away with most frustrated. The hardest thing I always had in my career was people telling me they wanted something, and then I would go out of my way to help them. And it wasn't what they actually wanted. They said they did. They used this to make a noise, but they didn't really want it. My daughter Kelly said the other day to a friend of mine, my biggest weakness is I believe people. That's my biggest weakness. And it's weird because when you sit back and say that's your weakness, yeah, but it's a big one because I spend a lot of time and effort uh, doing things, and then find out that the person just it was a whim. Yeah, so this I'm not going very fast, and it's Sunday, so ease up. So, Dinesh, it comes down to, you know, something we've known for a long time. Maxwell Maltz, who wrote Psycho-Cybernetics, was a plastic surgeon. He discovered that when he did work on people's noses or faces, it rarely had long-term impacts about the way they saw themselves. Uh, we know that when they put those, for a while they were cutting out part of the stomach, and then they put rings in there, and now they put in like an inflatable bag or something there to cut back on the size of the stomach, so you literally can't eat as much. Uh, you know, when I've seen the television shows on that, yes, the person loses weight, but it doesn't change their perception of their relationship with food and health and nutrition, health, fitness, sleep. Uh, and it's nice to have Tim on here today. I've talked to Tim. In fact, I think Tim might have been there. You might have been there. I want to say it was a southern workshop in the South where we were out with all those strength coaches, and the only strength coach that didn't use that CPAP, that thing you put on your face to breathe at night for COPD or something. The only one who didn't was me. I was the oldest person. And all these other strength coaches in their young 30s, 40s already had these devices to save their lives when they slept every night. And it's good, but I just, you know. And one of them was kind of actually funny about it. He goes, "Oh, I know what I got to do to, get this off me." And I go, "What?" He goes, and it just went through a whole list of things like barbecue food and beer. It was just like a funny little if you have the women's list of cravings that you'll probably see in a 1950s TV show, and you put the men's list of cravings, barbecue, beer, he had the men's cravings list. It was that's kind of funny. Kind of wish I'd record these things because sometimes in these conversations, I'm the only one still here. Yeah. Okay, over halfway. I'll be seeing Tim pretty soon. It'll be good to see you again, Tim. Hi and welcome, Instagrammers. I'm just getting some swings in on a Sunday. We're over halfway. Remember, last Sunday I didn't feel very good, so I did 250, which is throwing my numbers off. So for my new book, I'm adding a chapter on epistemology, which I might just steal out of my other stuff too. But epistemology is how you know what you know. And I tell you something, in the fitness industry, it's tough, you know. I think I know a lot about Olympic lifting because my coaches were so good. I had good, and I think this is the most important one, authorities. Dick Nottmeyer, Jim Schmitz, Tommy Kono, Vasily, had a whole bunch of people, Dave Turner, a whole bunch of people who really knew what they were talking about teach me, and then I was able to run what they all said, synthesized it a little bit, because basically we all say the same thing with different terms, and then I came up to core terms and then expanded it. So I feel pretty good about it. So authority to me is always the number one. This guy. Hello, good morning, Larry. And then the next area that I really emphasize my knowledge of things is what I call it real science. It's funny, I started using that term a long time ago, and it's kind of cool because now that you have all those anti-vaxxers and stuff, and it's funny because, well, it's anti-vax and climate deniers, and they always use the same set of tools. It's always the same set of tools. You know, of course, I got to be careful. You know, I don't believe in astrology either. Of course, I'm a Virgo, and we're known to be skeptical. Okay, that's an old joke. But already went over that. So for me, real science is the work of Delorme and Heidegger and those guys from the 50s. Even Pat O'Shea, I still trust. There's some other researchers I trust. I don't trust any researcher that uses untrained 19-year-old college freshmen. The second I see that, that's my BS detector. One of my favorite researchers is Brian Mann. I think he's down in Miami now. My favorite thing Brian does is he'll take an old study and replicate it, and then add a nuance to see if it can be tweaked better. And a couple of my books, I include his research on the Delorme protocol and what Delorme argued. Let's go as simple as we can. You do a set of 8, you rest a minute. You do a set of 8, you rest a minute, and on the third set, you go for as many. And Mann came up with this very cool idea about, so if you only get 3 or 4 reps on that last set, you're too heavy. If you get 20, you're too heavy. If you get 8 to 12, you're fine. Stick with that a couple of weeks. If you get 13, but if you get 14 or 15, you add 5 pounds in certain lists, 10 in others. And I looked at that and was like, this is good. You take Delorme, you reinforce what Delorme taught us, and then you add a little thing that makes us all smarter and better. And to me, that's what real science is. And the third, we'll talk about in just a minute. So authority, you were told something by Ralph Mann, my discus coach. When Ralph Mann said something about discus, you just shut up and did it his way because he was right. That's a good authority. Real science, that's when you have a large enough sample group in my world, not just untrained, because lifting weights is a variable. it's done. It's done. And at the end of it, there's an insight, it could be very simple, that makes someone like me go, oh yeah, I can use that. And that to me is the key. And the third one, we'll just have to wait until we get over. Okay, if we do 40, if we do 40 here, that'll get me around 300, which is when the Pat Flynn people move on. Okay. Good. Okay. Give me just a second. I apologize. I apologize. But so, for me, epistemology, there's three sides that I use as a strength coach. I'm still answering Dinesh's question. And then, of course, the third epistemology for me is what I call aha. And that's when, uh, if I tell you to do the easy strength program and you actually do it, and you do it all 40 days the first time, you do it again, so you did the 80 workouts, and you email me back and you say, I can't believe the progress I made. And then you add something like, but this didn't work for me, but we did this and it worked perfectly. And of course, that's the self side of everything. But you can't just go, you just can't blindly do things like the 10,000 swing challenge. You have to take notes, you have to have feedback. I'll tell you frankly, okay, I get practically nothing out of the 10,000 swing. Sure, partially I don't go heavy enough on the bell, I don't take it seriously enough, I don't do the extra stuff you're supposed to do. I freaking hate it because it's like the 2 dozenth time I've done it, so I'm just done with it. I don't mind answering these questions, so this is kind of fun. It gives me something to do between answering your questions. But what I can do really well, better than probably anybody, is I can, when you tell me I did this, I finished a 10,000 swing challenge and I know it's this, and you tell me that, I can tell you this, and you can tell me that, and we can have this dialogue, dialogos, this across word thing where we have this deep conversation, and I'll be nodding along with you when you explain why you discovered that doing this for the 10,000 swing challenge made a whole difference. So for me, epistemology, how do you know what you know? You got authority, you got good science, the repeatable efforts of others you're not involved in, and then what I call the aha, the discussion, the dialogue of those of us who have experienced it and trying to build it up. And I think you need all three. So getting back to Dinesh's question about how do you motivate somebody for a year, um, I think you need at some level to have all of it, and that's why it's so important to get. I mean, I don't even ask clients to go to the doctor anymore. I have Dr. Brenny's phone. I just press the button now and it calls his office, and I set up a doctor's visit for you. I set up a dentist visit for you. I set up an eye doctor visit for you. while you're standing there looking at me. Yeah, Tuesday's good. Tuesday, you're going Tuesday, okay. Because I want those authorities telling the person you need to do, and maybe it could be 50 drugs that this person needs. It could be, you know, this person that you're working with might need, they got 12 cavities and they need a root canal. Well, and you're telling them to eat vegetables. They need dental work before they can eat vegetables. And then after that, you can sit down with them and say, okay, here's your number. This is when we slide over to real science, and this puts you on here on this grid, puts you on here on this grid, it puts you here. And it's kind of nice, you can pull those numbers up and, at your age, your gender, your ethnic background, your blood profiles, we need to get some movement here. And frankly, any tool at your disposal, I'm fine with. And then you call me up and you say, I'm struggling with Martha. And I'd say, well, I struggled with Edna. And we maybe can share some ideas. And then pretty soon, we'll give Martha Edna's number, Edna Martha's number, and let the two of them talk about it. And when you combine all that, that to me is how you get people motivated. Putting a gun to a person's head is great motivation until they find out you don't have a bullet in the chamber. Are you guys writing that down? That's pretty good. I do try to model appropriate pickup and put down every time. I hope you guys noticed that. I had put the bell down in the bad place. So I put my hand on here as extra support so I could slide the bell so I wouldn't be moving the bell like that with my lower back. My back is fine and I want to keep it that way. So always practice appropriate bell movement. One of my favorite stories. Okay, I got to remember my favorite story when I get back. Okay. I gotta pick it up a little bit, huh? We're at a workshop, and this is back when the RKC was just insane. This person that was just, I can't use the word Nazi anymore. I got an email that complained about it. I shouldn't use the word Nazi, yeah. But this person that was over the top about safety would just yell at every single participant, punish if somebody put a bell down wrong. Everybody had to do 20 swings. If someone did something, 20 swings. So the person is up there, just finished this whole spiel about kettlebell safety, steps back and trips over a kettlebell. It's like, thank you. That was great. It's one of the reasons I like to teach in bare feet. Is when you're in bare feet teaching kettlebells, because they're all over the place. It makes you walk a little bit more gingerly as you look back for those kettlebells. I'm sure everybody here who's ever in a kettlebell workshop has the same story. I don't know what that word is, Andre Zidimon. How can I make my hairline stronger? Yeah, what's the story with my hair lately? I was supposed to get a haircut about a week ago, but because of COVID, I couldn't. Yeah, so, yeah. From what I've seen in this field, the use of anabolic steroids tends to lead to hair loss. Every one of my buddies who were big truckers are all, I'm Polish. Dobra. We got somebody Polish here. Are you going to have shenka for breakfast? I only know 2 words in Polish. Good and ham. So once we get outside of conversations about those 2 things, I get a little, oh, and discus. Dobra, dobra. Okay, after this round, we won't have that many more to go. Okay, we're getting there. Well, thank you, Larry. Larry's commenting on my lovely legs. Yeah, what I've noticed about my legs is how bunched up that hamstring has gotten doing these swings, man. It just feels like my hamstrings have just gotten hypertrophy. Yeah. Okay. He's asking about the top plank. The easiest way to teach it, don't work too hard on it, and I mean this, okay? Get a rope, or I use a stretchy band. If you ever come train with me, you'll notice I have several stretch bands. I love those stretch bands with handles. I keep thinking that I should take those on the road, but when I put them in my bag, they're massive and they take up way too much space. But I got the handled stretch bands, and I got the thick one. And all you do on the drill is this, okay? So just so you put your hands up here like this, all right? And however you decide, doesn't matter. And all you do is pull down as hard as you can. And as you pull down, you'll notice that your ab wall engages, but you'll also know that you'll notice your lats come underneath you, your glutes tighten up, your big toe grabs onto the ground, your feet arches up. You know, you kind of go like a raptor on the ground. And that's the best way to finish a kettlebell swing. It's kind of an active pull down. So we also do a drill at the workshops where so we get people to stand next to each other, and I would put my double hands on the shoulders here and just pull down to imitate that. But that's really it. And by the way, here's the interesting thing. Stand up right now, cross your hands here, and squeeze your hand. Just honestly, just squeeze your hands together. And what most people notice is that their ab wall contracts when they squeeze their hands together. And that's why I love teaching kettlebell certs. It is that simple. Make sense? Yeah, so it can be that easy. I think I have I know for sure on danjohnuniversity.com, I have a whole kettlebell course that's kind of free. Parts of it are on YouTube, but it's not. Yeah, go see the real deal. I mean, New Year, one word, $29. Join up, get all those damn free videos, and enjoy them. You do the squeeze. So he says he does the squeeze, but he's missing the lats. But of course you do. So just as a reference for all learning, first time you throw the discus, someone's going to say it's a lower body thing. Once you get the lower body to move correctly, someone's going to tell you, well, it's a twisty, from here to here thing. Once you figure that out, great, but then you forgot how to use the legs, then someone's going to tell you it's a stretch reflex across the chest. it might take 10 years to take what's going to happen in, I think it's about a tenth of a second. It might be less. It might take 10 years to teach the body to do that thing that's going to happen in a tenth of a second. So remember, when you engage your ab wall, your lats might not come around. So then you have to teach the lats, then your ab wall will stop, and then, but that's okay, and that's why you do the 10,000 swing challenge. Okay, so that's why you do things like the 10,000 swing challenge. Of the 10,000 swings I do, I would say 9,000 are crap, but then there's always a couple that I learned something from. Okay, let's. We might get to 400 here. We might. One thing I don't share with you is that after these workouts, I go for a little bit of a walk. What I've been doing lately, because it's so early in the morning, I just put my shoes on and I just do a couple loops, not very far. And what I do is I wait until I feel cold. I know that sounds weird, but it's so cold here in Utah now. It works out kind of nicely. It's minus, that's got to be minus what, 2 maybe, 3? Probably in the 20s here this morning. Might be colder. So I just throw on a pair of shoes and I'm putting socks on. And then I walk until I get cold, which is nice because then I come back in the house. And right now, this room is warm, but because of the workout. But when I go for the walk and come back, he'll feel cozy again. Yeah. So we have a question about using a PVC pipe to learn the Olympic lifts. It's not going to be very good. There's going to be some issues. Biggest mistake is what you hear from those psychos from the workout that shall not be named. They insist on pulling the PVC pipe like it's a bar, and that's just not the way to do it. With the PVC pipe, when you jump, it goes out like that, and I feel that's fine. There's no way 300 pounds, 140 kilos is going to run like that. It's not going to run away from you. So look up, just type in my name and type in overhead squat video, and you'll see how I use PVC pipe with the goblet squat. That's the best thing you can do, but you really do need more. Oh, well, you know, if you, I think I have it somewhere where I use my Hooper bar over there. It's a 15-pound, 7-kilogram bar, and I do. I practice the Olympic lifts with that down here because it's warm this time of year. But it's hard. The PVC pipe is just hard. You need, even at 7 grams, it's a little light. But, you know, 7 grams, 7 kilograms, 7 grams. Okay, so we're at 400, and I remember yesterday getting the same spot, and I did a good job getting done. So it's funny, yesterday I ended up walking 2 miles, and it didn't feel like anything. It was kind of an interesting little stroll. Okay, so I'm at I have 100 to go. to get these done faster than slower, but here we go. He's working hard today. Thanks for being here, folks. Good questions this morning. Good questions this morning. I think I could do these conversations on epistemology all the time. It's funny because the bulk of people online will buy a celebrity trainer thing, either a celebrities program, and the whole time they say, look at me, look at me, look at me, or a celebrity trainers program who basically say, look at me, look at me, look at me. And most of the crap you guys, people invest in is what we now call N=1 situations. Some of these Hollywood people are extremely small, very tiny human people. It's much easier to get, look a certain way for a movie if you're diminutive versus huge. It's one of the things you pick up. My friend Jeff Hemingway will tell you stories about some of these famous people he knows, and it's remarkable how non-tall so many of them are. My friend knocks me on this, Mike Brown gets me on this for saying this all the time, but the problem is this: if this celebrity fitness person is doing this stuff, you got to understand that they won the genetic lottery and were lucky enough to get this, and this. And to be honest, if I had a personal chef and 5 or 6 assistants and a trainer and someone to wake me up in the morning and do all my fan mail and all my emails, I'd probably spend a few extra minutes. No, I would. Someone get me a smoothie. Yeah, there you go. Ouch. Okay. Not ready to go. So the question about whether you should buy a cheap barbell or an expensive one. I have 3 barbells. One is better than the other 2, and that's good enough for me. I don't. These new barbell, these companies are knocking out new things all the time. I know this. Dick Notmeyer in 1964 bought 3 barbells from York. He sold them a decade ago for about 5 times as much as he paid for them. So good barbells always hold their value. In fact, I wish I'd have known he was selling them because I would have bought them just for the memories that are in the chalk. Yeah. It was weird. You never know when the best days of your life are. You never know your golden ages. And when I was at Dick's, all I was ever thinking about was, getting a scholarship, going to Utah State, moving on, going to this championship, that. I never was in the gym. My brain was always, and I never had really a chance just to train with Dick and enjoy. It was always the next championship, the next contest. You know, it's kind of like when my babies were little. Yeah, I see it upstairs. You know, you don't appreciate your 9-month-old because you're dealing with a screaming child, and then a couple years later you're like, where did my baby go? Yeah. Take a moment to appreciate. There, I have spoken. Almost finished. Well, thank you for your good questions, Instagrammers. I appreciate it. We're down to only 14 visitors, so I've driven everybody else away. I'll go for my walk. I got to put together Wandering Weights. I have a newsletter, Wandering Weights. I work on it every Sunday after my swings and my walk. Got one more set and we'll be done. Thank you for listening, my friend. It's another big day of American football today. Yesterday was interesting. I think the Raiders did everything they could and to win, and it seemed at the same time everything they could to lose. And if the Bills played like they did last night, then they'll never lose another game. But if you're a Bills fan, you know it's ahead of you. Okay, so last set, and then we'll put the bell away, and we'll say adieu. What was that? That was interesting. Don't do what I just did, okay? No idea. Hey, thanks again for watching, folks. Dan John here. DanJohnUniversity.com. Reminding you that we have a couple more days in that special New Year, one word, $29 for 3 months. And remember, if you sign up as a member, the goals course is only $15, so that'll be kind of fun. Remember, it's about goal achievement, not goal setting. Any idiot can set goals. Achieving them, well, that's it's pretty simple, but you have to do the work. Until next time. Keep on lifting and learning, okay?